Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be recapping the Orioles and Marlins Game 1 of this three-game series. This is the final series before the All-Star break. And the Orioles go out here today and get a massive Game 1 series win of the series. First game of the series, the Orioles go out there and get a big win over the Marlins. They win this game 5-2. Dean Kremer was incredible today in his start. He went 7 innings scoreless. Absolutely phenomenal game by Dean Kremer. The offense did their thing. They went out there and scored early. They got out to a 4-0 lead early in this game, and they were able to hold that lead for the rest of the way. A pretty dominant game overall by the Orioles. Again, the pitching was great. The offense was great. Overall, a great win for the Orioles in a time where they really do need it. They've won 6 of their last 7 games now. Obviously, in their past 2 series, they swept the Braves. Then they won 2 out of 3 against the Mets. And now they have already won Game 1 against the Marlins. And if they win either tomorrow or on Sunday, then they would have won this series against the Marlins. And they need to get a series win heading into All-Star break. And all they got to do is win one of the next 2 games. And it is the Marlins. They're not, a terribly tough opponent. But they have been a little bit hot recently. They have been doing well. They do have a good bullpen. But if the Orioles are able to win one of the next 2 games, they'll win this series, move on to All-Star break, and then hopefully can start off the second half of the season on a good note, and then we'll see what happens at the trade deadline. Obviously, that is the big point of discussion regarding the Orioles right now, is kind of where they're at this season, and what things are going to look like by the time the trade deadline comes around, whether we're going to sell, whether we're going to stand still, or whether we're going to go out and make a big surprise trade and try and bolster up our team and make a push for the playoffs. So whatever ends up happening, it's going to be a decision that Michael Elias is going to have to make. And at this point, I don't even really know what's going to happen. A couple weeks ago, I kind of was on the train that the Orioles probably should just sell at the deadline, forget that the season happened, and move forward. But with the way that they've been playing recently, they're only 7 games below 500 right now. They've really cut this deficit down to 7 games, and they're within reach, man. They really are. They're playing well. The offense has been playing good for the most part, other than obviously like Adley Rutschman and Ryan Mountcastle. They're pretty much fully healthy. Obviously, you still you have guys out there like Jordan and Gunnar and Jackson and Ramon Laureano, who's been amazing. Ryan O'Hearn, who's obviously the all-star of this team. Colton Cowser, Cedric, you have all the guys out there in order to win the games. Obviously, you don't have Adley Rutschman, but he was struggling already this season for the most part. And then Ryan Mountcastle, who is also struggling. So the offense, in terms of the injuries, the offense isn't necessarily being super affected right now. Obviously, in the first few months of the season, it was a big problem with guys just coming in and out of the IL list. But as of right now, the offense is pretty stabilized in terms of injuries and everything like that. It's all good. The big problem has been the pitching injuries, obviously, not Charlie Moore, with like Zach Eflin and Cade Povich going on IL, and, guys coming in and out of IL, and not having Grayson or Cal Bradish for the entire season so far. Obviously, that was kind of the main point in terms of the injuries, and obviously the catcher position on offense being absolutely, destroyed and ran through with 5 different catchers getting hurt. So that was, the major point of discussion regarding the injuries. But it is, not horrible right now. The offense is fine. The pitching, obviously there's still guys that are hurt, but there's, the guys who are pitching right now for the Orioles have really been stepping up and playing well, including Dean Kremer today, who had an incredible game. This is the 3rd time this year that he's gone 7 innings scoreless, and for the most part, Dean Kremer either has a horrible start or he has a spectacular start, and thankfully today was a spectacular start against a pretty hot Marlins offense. And then going into tomorrow's game, it is going to be such an interesting game to watch. It is tomorrow. It is going to be Trevor Rogers versus the Miami Marlins, which is his old team. We already got to see Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers face the Orioles today. Both of them got a base hit, so it was cool to see them out there. The crowd gave them a nice ovation. Both of those guys, former Orioles, former baby birds in the development system with the Orioles. So it was cool to see them out there. Cool to see the way that they've developed in Miami. But tomorrow, we are going to be seeing Trevor Rogers on the mound against his old team. So hopefully he'll have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and play well and get the Orioles the win tomorrow, which would also mean a series win secured. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But let's just go over this game that happened today. So going over this Orioles and Marlins game, obviously the Orioles win this game 5-2 over the Miami Marlins. They move to 43-50 on the season. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, from a pure vision perspective, being 43-50 is not the worst thing in the world. And there's teams that have come down from a lot more from where we're at right now. And, I mean, this team has really come back into the season. Obviously, they still have work to do. Obviously, there's still a lot of the season left. But as it stands right now, a 43-50 record through their first 93 games, about to go into All-Star break. This is around the record where, it's hard to really figure out what the team wants to do going into, the trade deadline. And, I mean, if they keep playing like this, like let's say, for example, they win the next 2 games against Miami and move within 5 games, and then let's say it gets to, like, a few days before the trade deadline and the Orioles are, like, within, 3 or even 2 games of the trade deadline, if they go on a good run, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm kind of on board with them trying to go out and maybe make a big move to help this team out and maybe even push for the playoffs, because it's within reach. Like this season, the comeback of the season is definitely within reach. They just got to go out there and execute, and that's the biggest thing that you can do. I'm really glad that the Orioles haven't just kind of given up and just flat out given up and made this season kind of not worth watching. They definitely are making this, month of July very interesting with the stakes that are with obviously all the things that are at stake going to the end of the month and the trade deadline and the decisions that this team has to make. So that's obviously very interesting. It's going to be very cool to see what they do there. But going over this offense in this game, the offense was great. Only 5 runs scored, which was fine. 12 hits in this game for the Orioles, so they did a great job getting on base. They went 4 for 16 with runners in scoring position. They left 8 guys on base. Again, 12 hits in this game. They got walked twice. Jackson Holliday in this game goes 1 for 5 with a run scored. Jordan Westburg has a big day, goes 3 for 3 with an RBI. Gunnar Henderson in this game goes 1 for 2 with a run scored and 2 walks. Ryan O'Hearn, or Ryan O All-Star as we should be calling him around this time. Obviously, Ryan O'Hearn is the sole and only Orioles All-Star going into the All-Star game and All-Star weekend this upcoming next week. So, obviously, we're going to be rooting on Ryan O'Hearn. It's going to be super, super, super cool to see him it's going to be super cool to see him go out there and represent the Orioles at the All-Star game. Obviously, we're all going to be standing behind him as our All-Star representative. And he is the starting DH, so it's not that he's a reserve. He's not a reserve in this game. He is going to be the starting designated hitter for the American League, so that makes it even more special for Ryan O'Hearn. So obviously super proud of him, as all of us O's fans are. But Ryan O'Hearn in this game, he has a big day as well. He goes 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And both of those RBIs, one of them was off of an RBI single, and the other one was an RBI double. So Ryan O'Hearn came up huge in this game, knocked in 2 runs for the Orioles. And then Ramon Laureano, very similar to Ryan O'Hearn in terms of the game that they had. Ramon Laureano has a 3-hit day. He continues to be such a solid hitter for this Orioles team, and he continues to prove why he was the best Mike Elias acquisition this past offseason. On the deal that we gave him, he's been so good for this Orioles team, and he's become an everyday player when, at the beginning of the season, it was he was supposed to be like a rotational guy, and now he really has become an everyday player. He goes 3 for 4 today with 2 RBIs. Colton Cowser, unfortunately, goes 0 for 4. Tyler O'Neill goes 1 for 4. Cedric Mullins goes 1 for 4. And then Jacob Stallings goes 0 for 4. So Cowser and Stallings both don't get a hit in this game. Everyone else was able to get a hit in this game. Shout out to Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn and Jordan Westburg for all having multi-hit days today, and also bringing in some RBIs as well. Shout out to them. All the RBIs driven in actually were from Jordan, Ryan, and Ramon. So shout out to all those guys. This Orioles offense is finding their way. They're going out there and they're not just scoring runs off of the home run ball, or they're not being super inconsistent, or they're not going out there and just not getting on base. Recently, they have done a good job of getting on base, and they've done a good job of being aggressive on the base pads, going out there and stealing bases, because, again, there's a lot of young, athletic players on this team, like Cedric Mullins, like Jackson Holliday, like Jordan Westburg, like Gunnar, like even Tyler O'Neill today got a stolen base. So, there's guys who are very athletic, on this team, and they can go out there and do a lot of great things on the base pads. And it's cool to see us be aggressive, because obviously when you're more aggressive on the base pads and you're actually able to steal bases, that leads to more of an opportunity to actually score more runs. So it's cool to see the type of baseball this Orioles team has been playing. Going back to the second half of last season, we were begging Brandon Hyde and this Orioles team to just be more aggressive on the base pads and put ourselves in a better position to actually score more runs. But this Orioles team has really done a good job of doing that recently. They've also done a great job of just producing runs, organically with runners in scoring position, getting on base and driving those guys home with a base hit. Not necessarily solely relying on the home run ball or anything. Their home run numbers this year have been significantly lower than what they usually are. Obviously, the Orioles last season were second in the league in home runs hit. Year before that, they were lower. This year, they're kind of in the middle. So, in terms of a home run hitting team, it's not necessarily all one person. It is kind of scattered out throughout the way. There's multiple guys with double-digit home runs on this team, because the love kind of just gets shared around throughout the team. But it's cool to see the way that this Orioles team has been scoring runs. They've been aggressive. They've been very explosive on the base pads. They've been generating runs organically just off of getting little base hits and driving in guys home. And that's what we like to see, because at the end of the day, any ways that you can get runs is an important way, but obviously in the way that's not necessarily all home runs is, the more reliable way, because you can't just only rely on home runs to be your offense, because some days you just won't have it. But yeah, this Orioles offense has been solid. They've been doing their thing. They've been doing great. They've looked a lot more confident, and they've also been the healthiest they've been all season right now. So that's also a big part of it. This team is healthy. The offense is playing well, and hopefully they can just keep this up, because this month is obviously extremely important for how the Orioles season gets decided by the end of the month, and we decide what we're going to do in the second half, and obviously all that is super important. But going over to the Orioles pitching in this game, the Orioles pitching was fantastic in this game. The Orioles only had to use 3 total pitchers in this game, and a lot of that obviously has to do with Dean Kramer. Big shout out to him. He gets the win in this game. He's 8-7 on the season, and in today's game he was phenomenal. Got through 7 full innings, gave up only 3 hits and a walk, 0 runs, and had 7 strikeouts. I'll say that one more time. 7 innings, 3 hits and a walk, 0 runs, 7 strikeouts. Phenomenal game by Dean Kramer. One of the better starts by an Orioles pitcher this season. Obviously, the narrative around the starting pitching and the Baltimore Orioles has been a lot on the negative side, but for good reason. Obviously, at the start of the season, in the first couple of months, it was absolutely atrocious. But recently, over the past month or so, it has gotten a lot more sturdy and a lot more solidified. Obviously, every so often, you're going to have a starting pitcher go out there and not play well, but that's just baseball. That happens to every single team. Not every single team's starting pitchers are going to go out there and have a quality start every single time. But this Orioles pitching staff has really stepped up in a big way and really helped this Orioles team get wins, and it's putting this offense and this team in general in positions to get wins, which is obviously what you ask for from your starting pitching staff and just your pitching staff in general. But again, only 3 pitchers used in this game. Dean Kramer obviously had an incredible game, and then Yennier Cano came in. He only pitched 1 inning, gave up no hits, no runs, no walks, and had a strikeout in the process, so shout out to Yennier. And then Andrew Kittredge in the 9th inning was out there to close out the game. He did give up a 2-run home run, but the Orioles already were up 5-0 going into that 9th inning, so that 2-run homer made it 5-2. It kind of the Orioles didn't get a shutout win, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. If you get a shutout win, it's 1 win. If you get a win by 1, then it's just 1 win. So it doesn't matter how you get the win, as long as you win. And we didn't shut out the Marlins, but that's fine. Andrew Kittredge does give up a 2-run homer. He has not been great recently. He has had some pretty bad outings out of the bullpen, but overall, again, this guy's a veteran. You're going to trust that he's going to figure it out. But quick recap and quick little look into tomorrow's game. It is going to be the Marlins versus Orioles, obviously. This is game 2 of the series, and it is going to be Jansen Junk versus Trevor Rogers. Obviously, Trevor Rogers is facing his former team in the Miami Marlins, and Trevor has only played in 5 games this season. He's only started in 5 games. He has a 2-0 record, and in those 5 starts, he has a 2-0 record with a 1.57 ERA, a .87 WHIP. He's only pitched through 28 innings. He's given up 17 hits, has 24 strikeouts, 8 walks, and a home run. So he has been phenomenal for the Orioles this season, and if he can keep this up over the next few starts, then all of a sudden you kind of look at this guy and say, okay, is this guy the ace of the Orioles or what? Because I mean, this is incredible games that he's been pitching. Again, it is a small sample size, only 5 starts, but in those 5 starts, he has been lights out for this Orioles team. And the Orioles really needed someone who can go out there and do this. But I think the best part about it and the most funny part about it is that it's Trevor Rogers doing that. You know, Trevor Rogers was somebody who got crucified by Orioles, Twitter and Orioles, just the community in general, including myself, who was somebody who didn't have a lot of belief and trust in him, because when we traded for him, again, he wasn't good for the Orioles. In the 6 games he started last year, it was horrible. He was dealing with injuries. He was doing horrible in AAA. But when he's gotten his opportunities in the major leagues this year, he's been phenomenal, and hopefully he can keep it up tomorrow against his former team. And obviously, I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, so it's going to be cool to see Trevor Rogers go out there with a chip on his shoulder, and we'll see what he can do tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and like the video as well, and make sure to follow up on Spotify. And if you want to check out more updates from me, make sure to follow the Instagram and the X account. I'm posting live updates every single day on Instagram, talking about whenever an episode gets released. And then on X, I'm live tweeting every single game, every single moment, home run, score, big moment, any sort of news as well. I'm posting my live initial reactions on there, so make sure to give those a follow. You can click the link in the bio of whatever platform you're listening on. And again, I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow afternoon talking about this Orioles and Marlins Game 2. If the Orioles win, they win the series. If they lose, then it goes to a Game 3 rubber match on Sunday. Hopefully they can avoid that. Hopefully they can just get the win tomorrow and then go for the sweep on Sunday. I'm looking for Trevor Rogers to have a big game tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great Steelers day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.